Hi guys, a little bit of a different venue today. I didn't want to go into the bedroom because things are kind of explosive in there because we are packing for our trip. The bathroom is for get ready with me, and the lighting in there frankly is not great. Usually I film these kinds of things in the living room, and the cat, how do I say this? The cat is kind of circling the living room. Jasper, most of you know. He's not feeling well the last couple days, and so I kind of want to give him his space. He's sprawled out right now on his favorite cat tree, and he's kind of going in between a couple different levels, and I just kind of want him to be comfortable and not bothered. So yeah, I've changed everything around for a cat. This is my story. But I do want to be really serious about something for a minute, and that is just coming clean about and sharing and being upfront with a couple of things that I've learned. And it's actually really new knowledge for me in the last, I'm going to say 10 days. So we had scheduled this week off from work, and we were going to accompany our middle school students, those that had signed up, to do a trip to Detroit, Michigan, and we do like a little mini VBS there for one of the underserved churches, and then we go to Metro Beach, and then the next day we go to Cedar Point. It's an amusement park, one of the top 10 in the world or something like that. And because we were unable to get enough students to sign up, that trip was canceled. And it was, we saw the writing on the wall, but we were also doing like this last minute, push for people to come. And it was just I think more than anything, I've been on this trip 3 or 4 times. I think this was going to be my 5th. I'm not sure. I could go back and look, but I had actually talked my husband into being a chaperone this time, and he took the week off of work, and I was more excited to serve with him with the middle and go with the middle schoolers so he could see, like, last year I came home from the trip and I was not what we would call fulfilled, or I didn't feel like we had made that great of an impact. It was not a mission trip, in my opinion. And this happens a lot to me. Like, I serve and then I come home and I'm mentally, physically, spiritually exhausted. And I'm like, never doing this trip again. This was not what I wanted it to be. It didn't work out how I wanted, and so forth and so on. But this last year when this happened, I was done. I was done. I was not going to do it again. It was one of those things where I just felt like, I don't know, I didn't feel like I was making an impact. And more importantly than that, I didn't feel like I had helped the students to make an impact. And a lot of that, I think, came down to our VBS not being, the mini VBS that we do at the church, not being very well attended. We only had a few kids, and just, it didn't feel impactful to me. Then we get to this year, and one of my very favorite people in the world is serving as an intern at the church, and she was put in charge of this mission trip. And I was told I was asked if I could chaperone, and the only way that this trip could happen was if somebody who was over 25, which just slightly, went, and who had gone before. And it was shaping up to look like it was gonna be me. And like, short term, I was like, no, absolutely not gonna do it. Said last year that was my last time. Not happening. Then I sat on it and I prayed about it, and I thought about this student. Oh, let's just call her T. And what an amazing experience this would be for her to put together, and how much I enjoy spending time with her. And also this gives me a chance to get to know the incoming students. And, I thought, in the big scope of things, it's 5 days out of my life. I have the vacation time. Cedar Point to me last year was fun, but also like low key, I was kind of looking forward to riding some of those rides, being, you know, now almost 70 pounds lighter. So I was kind of excited about not having to, you know, suck it in to get the seatbelt across and things like that. So I thought, you know, let's do it. Let's go ahead and sign up for it. And so put the vacation time in, got ready for it, was mentally hyping myself up for it. I did VBS at my church and was thinking of lessons that would translate from that to our mini VBS at the church in Detroit and all of these other things. In the meantime, that's all happening. It's, you know, we're having trouble pulling people in to sign up. I'm hitting up everybody I can think of, and even low-key, like, you know, some might not be qualified as middle schoolers, but would be fun on the trip. Things like that. And it was looking more and more like it wasn't going to happen. At that point, we also had the Acuna, Mexico mission trip leaving, and we had originally, my husband and I discussed going on that. That actually came up last year on the Cedar Point trip. The wonderful woman, Holly, that was putting that together, had approached me about going on that trip. And initially I was like, you know, that's not in my wheelhouse. I am 100% on board to stay up all night at a lock-in. I will drive, I will whatever, but I don't do well like in oppressive heat, and when I'm suffering, I feel like I cast that off on other people, and most likely it would be my husband, and he's the one that would be of the most use there with his construction skills and things like that. But the more we thought about it, the more we were like, well, you know, it's an experience, and we could go and we could see what we think about it. And if it's miserable, then we won't go back. If it's fulfilling and amazing and all the things that we've heard that it could be, then it would be awesome. But turns out it lines up at the same week as Cedar Point, and I had already committed to that. So couldn't do that. And we just kind of were like, well, maybe next year, you know, it's a sign. It's this is what we're supposed to do. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't overly upset because I don't suffer well, and anybody who knows me knows that. I do my best not to complain, but it happens. It happens, right? So all this is happening, and then we find out Cedar Point isn't gonna make. It's not gonna happen. And all of a sudden I'm feeling guilty. And this is kind of the part that I want to relay on. Guilty because I've taken time off of work. I was supposed to serve. I was excited to serve with my husband. Not that excited about the trip, but that's okay. I was feeling like this almost down, like this heaviness, because I had 5 days off of work and I wasn't using it how I normally would have. I wasn't volunteering. I wasn't making the world a better place. I wasn't, you know, sharing experiences and guiding young folks and you know, whatever. Fill it in however flowery you want to. It was also low-key FOMO, fear of missing out. We had this amazing group of people, all of whom I know pretty well and love deeply, going to Mexico and, you know, helping a family in desperate need. And we weren't able to do that. We weren't going to do that because we were going on this other trip that was going to be awesome and provide something for underserved people. And, you know, I guess what really hit me hard was that, you know what, it's okay to feel that, but also like I have never taken a trip with just my husband and I, with no real ulterior motive except to go and spend time together and have fun and relax a little bit. And I'll take that back. Our honeymoon. Yeah, our honeymoon, that was it. And even that was a little bit stressful because we went to Mexico and Baja, Playa del Sol, and we were staying in my parents' condo, and there was no hot water. Anyway, it was beautiful. It was on the beach, whatever. But so yeah, married 27 years. We've never gone on a together vacation, just the two of us, just kick back, have fun, whatever. No set schedule, no set anything. And I guess where it really hit me was yesterday morning. I woke up, went in to teach Sunday school. I was doing the scripture reading for that day, coming down the hallway, getting ready to do a mic check or whatever it was. And before I went to the sound booth to check in, I don't know how to make this so I'm just going to say it and trust that people are going to know. I'm not trying to be oh, it was too much. But, I stopped and was speaking with one person, and then another person came up, and then a third person came over, and we were all talking, and and I'm the whole time I'm I need to go do the sound check. I need to go do the sound check, because when I don't, not only do I not sound right on the live stream, I'm super self-conscious, and I end up speaking too loudly and things like that. And I was standing there, and I'm being bombarded, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling I've got to do this, and yet I don't want to blow these people off because they're important to me. And talking to them is obviously important because they sought me out and all of this other stuff. And I started to feel, like I said, overwhelmed. And after all of that, after I did the reading, I went back, picked up my stuff, went out, stopped at the little gift shop that we have, that's also a bookstore in our church, and I was looking for something specific for a student, and I kind of put it into perspective in the fact that how I was feeling before I went in to do the reading, and feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And once I did all that, and I talked to the people, and then I did get to go in and do a very, very brief sound check, and then walked out, and just that relief of all those obligations are off my shoulders. I spoke with the people I needed to speak with. I did what I needed to do, and Sundays have long been known in my house as, first of all, they're cheat days, so I can kind of eat whatever I want. And secondly, when we get home from church, it's mandatory ministry nap time, which means we eat brunch, we separate to our corners, and we take a nap. Simple, right? And I was so looking forward to that, right? I was okay, I can't find what I'm looking for here in the bookstore, so I'm just going to go ahead and go home and, figure out what I'm going to do from there. Got home and just felt this almost a moment of, wait a second, this is exactly what's happening in your life. You're feeling all of these things coming at you. You couldn't go to Mexico. You're not going to Cedar Point. You have no obligations this week. And you are feeling guilty about that when you should actually be feeling excited and relieved, and allow myself not to have the FOMO, not to have the guilt, allow myself to be excited and feel good about some self-care, which I know is sort of a catchphrase right now, but allow myself to have that time away. Because if I don't allow myself that, if I don't give myself permission to kick back, to put my feet up, to not be constantly making lists and go, 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 and good Ness knows that spending some time, one-on-one time with my husband would be amazing, and not having to worry about, oh, we've got this tonight, we've got to do this in the morning, and we've got to this. Yeah, I'm still not there. I'm still wondering, like, what are all the people doing in Mexico, and what's happening with this and what's happening with that. And I have a student who's moving to Minnesota, and I'm not going to get a chance to see her, to say goodbye, and all of these things, right? And it's not a matter of priority, because the work that I do with my church and with my students and all of that stuff is a priority to me. But then again, so is my marriage, and so is my sanity. And why I didn't see that before yesterday, I'm not sure. I'm sure had I allowed myself time to sit back and think about it, I would have realized what I was doing. But instead of doing that, I just allowed myself to get even more busy. And so I guess what I've learned, and my lesson to anybody who's made it this far, is it's okay to have FOMO. It's okay to feel a little bit guilty, but it's not okay to put yourself on the back burner. It's not okay to forget self-care. It's not okay to forget about the important relationships in your life. There's room for all of it. And I think that that's a huge lesson for me, and one that I intend to take really seriously. I'm gonna talk with my husband a little bit more about it, and make sure he keeps me in check about it, and be like, hey, let's not wait another 27 years before we take a vacation or do something. I mean, we spend time together, and we go out to dinner, and we hang out and whatever, but we never like go places together just because. We always have something to do. So yeah, I want to share that, especially if you're like younger. And I know schedules are packed from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep, and even beyond that. And I really want that to not be the case if you can learn it now. So my lesson for today, wisdom from a slightly more mature person, and I just kind of wanted to share that. So take it for what you will. Just a reminder, and try to be kind to each other always. It's so important, so important. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.